So hi, my name is Cameron Allen. I'm a academic researcher at Monash University and UNSW and an advisor at the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and most of my research focuses on assisting countries and stakeholders to implement the Global Sustainable Development Goals. I'm also the chief analyst involved in the Transforming Australia project and assessments. Data is absolutely fundamental to the SDGs. The SDGs are essentially a set of targets and indicators, and data then becomes really fundamental in terms of assessing progress on the SDGs and these sorts of data-driven assessments which we've undertaken through Transforming Australia. So I like data and statistics because they provide really clear insights and evidence that can strengthen and improve any decision. So data has been described as the new oil. We use it every day, whether it's in public policy, in the private sector, investments, in gaining a competitive edge, or simply in deciding whether or not we need to take an umbrella with us to work today. We use data every day to make better decisions. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've really seen a huge increase in demand for real-time and timely data, whether it be for testing and contact tracing, or looking at the effects of the lockdowns on jobs and well-being and the economy. Data has been absolutely critical in shaping an effective response, and we've really seen where governments have delivered an effective response. That has really been by effectively leveraging data and evidence to develop a more effective response. But you've also probably heard the expression that there are three kinds of lies: lies, damned lies, and statistics. And so I think this highlights that it's also important to ensure that we use robust and reliable data, and also that we use data ethically. So for our assessment, we use or draw primarily upon official statistics and data sets which are compiled by governments in accordance with international standards and principles to ensure that we have robust and reliable data for our assessment. This report comes at a really important moment where countries are facing a multitude of complex and integrated crises, from a global health emergency through to climate change, biodiversity decline, growing global inequality. And in adopting the SDGs, all countries, including Australia, recognise that we need to address these global challenges in an integrated way and deliver a more sustainable future. So with only 10 years left to deliver on the goals, progress has been slow and many targets actually remain off track. And the global disruption that's been caused by COVID-19 is unprecedented in our lifetime and is a serious setback for sustainable development, both here and globally. And governments are taking extraordinary measures to respond to the crisis, and these measures will determine the future shape of our economy and our lives for years to come. So I think COVID also represents a huge opportunity to design a recovery strategy that ensures long-term prosperity by addressing key weaknesses, risks and challenges, and strengthening our resilience to future shocks. So in this context, I think this report is important for a number of reasons. Firstly, it assesses Australia's progress on sustainable development heading into the COVID-19 crisis. So it highlights our strengths and weaknesses, and also explores the scale and pace of change that would be needed in order to achieve sustainable development or sustainable prosperity by 2030. Secondly, we also look at the impacts of COVID-19 on Australia's capacity to achieve the SDGs. We highlight where we've been knocked off track, where poor performance has worsened, or where potential opportunities exist that we should really capitalise upon. And one of the benefits of using the SDGs for the assessment is the very broad and integrated scope. It includes economic, social, and environmental indicators. And for this assessment, we analyse a mix of 56 different indicators, from health and well-being to economic prosperity and equality, through to environmental sustainability. And another benefit of using the SDGs is that they're based on a set of quantitative targets with a 2030 timeframe. So this enables a more robust and meaningful evaluation of progress in terms of how far Australia has to go in order to achieve a target. And an important step forward for this assessment is that we propose a set of 2030 target or benchmark values for all 56 indicators. Target setting is absolutely critical because at the end of the day, if you don't know where you're going, then any path will get you there. So they serve a range of important purposes. They set national priorities and the level of ambition. So this can incentivize stakeholders to collaborate and innovate to solve problems and to solve some of Australia's biggest challenges. They set a clear direction, providing clarity and investment certainty. So we saw that in terms of Australia's renewable energy targets, which really accelerated investment in renewables by providing that investment certainty and clarity, that signal to the market. They also provide a clear, quantitative, measurable basis upon which to evaluate progress. So they improve or greatly improve the quality of assessments such as this. They also help to articulate the scale of and pace of change needed over time. So they can help to show where Australia is considered on track to achieve a target, where continued incremental progress may be necessary, or where much more rapid and transformation is needed in order to reach a target value. So they also open the door to more advanced analytical methods, backcasting, scenario analysis and modelling, which can help us to explore different pathways towards achieving targets and different combinations of investments and interventions that can accelerate progress towards the SDGs. But look, that's not to say that setting targets is easy. It's certainly not. It's extremely challenging. And different stakeholders are really going to have different perceptions in terms of priorities, in terms of the level of ambition, in terms of the feasibility in achieving a target value. And it's important that targets are science-based, informed by experts, and also developed through consultation. Because if they're not widely recognised by stakeholders, then they will probably achieve little. So at present, Australia has set very few national targets, and in my view, this really represents an important gap, given that we're already 5 years into the SDGs with only 10 years remaining. So in this assessment, we're really trying to start a national conversation around targets, around where we want to be as a nation in 2030. And to do that, we draw upon the available evidence and expert advice to propose a set of target values, but the intent is really to move the conversation forward around targets for Australia, and to demonstrate how targets can be used to conduct a robust analysis and provide valuable insights. So in terms of the methodology for this assessment, we use a similar method that we developed for our 2018 assessment, which has been peer-reviewed. And the methodology for this work is of course all available through the website if you want to read more about it. But in brief, in terms of assessing Australia's progress on the SDGs, we look at both the long-term trend and the short-term trend, looking at data for each indicator over the period from around 2000 to 2019, depending on data availability for those indicators. And from this time series trend data, we can calculate the average rate of progress towards a target value. So we call this sort of Australia's observed rate of progress over time towards a target. And we can compare this actual or observed rate of progress against the rate that would be actually needed in order to achieve a 2030 target value. So we call this a theoretical target path, and by comparing the actual rate against the desired rate, I guess, to achieve a target, we can then make an evaluation of whether Australia is on track to achieving a target, whether some sort of smaller improvements are needed, whether a breakthrough is needed with much more rapid accelerated progress, or where indeed Australia is off track or moving in the wrong direction away from a target value. So in terms of assessing the COVID-19 effects, we draw on a range of different data sources and evidence to provide both some quantitative and more qualitative analysis, highlighting where impacts of COVID have been mostly negative, mostly positive, or mixed on each of the 56 indicators. So the results of the assessment are compiled into a range of different products and outputs, including an assessment dashboard or scorecard, as well as a broad range of interactive charts, which are all accessible through the website, and all of the data that underpins the assessment is also available for download.